Thank you the organization for the opportunity to be here. So we're going to talk about one of the biggest challenges we have today as game developers, and this is how to retain players. One of the key questions we keep asking ourselves is, how can you stand out in the massive sea of apps competing for players' time and attention? And usually, the first thing we're going to look at are the classic textbooks strategies, and that would be having a good design, friction-free, exciting games, state-of-the-art CRM. We talked a lot about reward programs. We do talk a lot about as well of communication channels. So we have to have everything adjusted, sending emails at the right time, sending push notifications at the right time. What I'd like here to propose to you is that we look at some other aspects, some different approaches that we've been trying in our business and that have proved to be successful. So I'm going to share with you. Well, 4 years ago, my partners and I, we look at the Brazilian bingo market. I'm Brazilian, by the way, and we saw there was a mismatch between the demand of what bingo players were looking at and what was being offered in the space of social casino. So we decided, okay, let's make a bingo game to fill in this gap. This is how Pipa Studios was born. And then we, thinking about what we wanted to do as a bingo app, we asked ourselves, so what is bingo about? And we know that bingo is about entertainment. Bingo is about spending a good time, but we want to go further. So what really are the needs of the bingo player, of the typical bingo player? What are you looking for? And fundamentally, how can we fill in this gap? This is what we're going to see in the next slides. Some strategies. With this in mind, we've been applying, testing, and I'm going to talk about 3 of them that have worked in our case. So Pipa Studios, it was founded 4 years ago. It's a mobile social casino studio. We have 35 employees, and we're based in São Paulo. As it was mentioned before, we are top grossing app in Brazil, in Mexico, and Spain. So we have a focus on Latin America and Southern Europe. We are a mobile-first company, and Praia Bingo is a mobile-first game as well. Praia Bingo itself is one app. It's everything contained in one app, but there's a collection of bingo games inside Praia Bingo, and the app is translated into multiple languages, all the major bingo-speaking languages. But again, we have a particular focus on Latin America. So the concept. When we stopped to think about what we wanted to transmit, what we wanted to do with the bingo app, we thought of a beach, a typical Brazilian paradisíaco beach. Praia translates to beach in Portuguese. So what is there about the beach? What is there special about a beach? We think that it's a place for coexistence. We think it's democratic. We think it's a place where people have tolerance, and it's fun. And those are exactly the things we wanted to transmit with Praia Bingo. The vision we had, and this is where it comes, it begins to be unconventional. We really wanted to create emotional bond between the players and the app, and also between players and players. We want to make them feel at home, and we want them to be themselves. So from scratch, we think, okay, we're not gonna do avatars. They will be themselves, just with their real faces. All they can show, the good things and also the bad things. Because, I mean, ultimately, we believe, and I believe, that gaming is an emotional endeavor. And it really correlates, and it really mingles with your culture, your identification, and the very need of socializing that we have. This has produced many amazing stories, and I'm happy to show you one of these stories.
Gilberto and Marissa. Gilberto is a 63-year-old man who has 3 adult children and a beautiful granddaughter. His love story with his wife lasted long enough for them to share many years together and have the family that they had always dreamed of. Gilberto hadn't counted on getting a divorce after so many years of marriage. He also hadn't counted on having a lonely life so soon after becoming a grandfather, and after giving so much love, care, and attention to his family. He moved house to a smaller apartment, where, despite frequent visits from his children, he still felt alone. He knew that a huge part of his life had been erased after splitting from his wife. But Gilberto knew that when you are still alive, not all good things have to end. He is someone who loves to talk, and as he is retired, he enjoys having fun with friends. Gilberto has many friends who have been there for him for a long time, talking with him and showing him how to have fun. These friends might be distant, but in the virtual world, they are ever present. His friends introduced him to Praia Bingo. From the very first minute, Gilberto loved it. Marissa is a very strong woman who has always battled to give her very best for her 2 children, and who is always smiling, even when times are tough. At 55 years of age, she lost her companion of 35 years due to a heart attack. Marissa also found it hard to continue. She has always known that she is a strong woman, and she knew that this would be her most difficult test of life, but she would come out on top. Marissa continued living at the house she had shared with her husband throughout their life together. Despite frequent visits from her children, she too felt alone. She longed for someone who would share walks in the park with her and enjoy spending time with her family on Sundays. It was on one of these Sundays that her eldest daughter showed her Praia Bingo. Marissa loved it. One afternoon playing Praia Bingo, Gilberto and Marissa met and began talking in the hippie kiosk. They started to share stories and realized they liked a lot of the same things. Gilberto said that he wanted to adopt a puppy. Marissa already had one. Marissa loved a strong coffee. So did Gilberto. As the time passed, the friendship blossomed, and the desire to get to know one another personally increased. They agreed to meet one Saturday. They lived a little far from one another, but Gilberto had a good car and didn't mind driving. They went to the park that Marissa loved, and she brought her dog. Gilberto loved walking the dog, and the day was a very special one. They soon began dating, and this gave a new chance for both of them to love again. In June 2015, they got married.
Well, this is one very nice story. We could be, I could be talking about more stories like this that we had, and it's very satisfying also for us as a company to be hearing this kind of events. You know, there's really being meaningful and trying to be meaningful to people's lives. So how does we enable this kind of things to happen? How Gilberto and Marissa came to be? Let me tell you about 3 things that I believe were very key to reach this vision and have been proven to be successful to our business as well. First of all, in-game chat. Of course, every bingo game, every multiplayer bingo game has an in-game chat. So what is different about Praia Bingo? First of all, if you look at the design, you're going to see that it's really integrated into the game. So we take it, the chat and the interaction that goes with the chat just as seriously as the game itself. So it's not only about pinging balls and daubing the cards, but it's a lot about interacting with other players. So they will be sending gifts, and sometimes they will be even, they'll be integrated with game features. We have a number of bingo rooms. All of them are around the clock live chat rooms. This is a place where the people will meet, where people will exchange game items. They will also be interacting with our chat leaders. They will be answering quizzes. They'll form teams. About half of our staff is actually working acting as chat leaders. So you're covering a different number of languages, covering a different number of geographies. The second very important thing that we did is that, okay, so we have these game chats, and they have been very successful because they really enabled us to create this link between the app and the players. What started to happen after some time is that many of these conversations that were going on in the in-game chats were actually one-to-one conversations or closed group conversations, because the typical player, they will come in, they will install the app, they will come to the bingo room, they will meet people, and they will find affinities with some of them. So we start seeing them switching contexts, switching apps a lot of the time, because they will be meeting in the chat rooms, and then they'll be exchanging numbers, they'll be exchanging IEM contacts, going to this contacts, going to these apps, and writing, exchanging messages. So I thought, okay, why not integrating an IEM solution into our app? So that's what we did. It's pretty much very similar to WhatsApp features. So you can have contacts, you can send async messages, you can create groups, and you can just keep in touch with your bingo mates. The idea at first was that, of course, they will be talking about bingo subjects. They'll be talking about their team missions. They'll be exchanging game items using the IM. But what we've seen eventually is that this feature has grown by itself being a general purpose IM. So nowadays, lots of players not only come to Praia to play, but they also come to see what their friends have sent them and keep texting their friends. So it really has created a new way of players to recur to the game. It has increased the frequency of play. As I told you, there's a full integration of our promos, of events and team missions, so somehow it works together with in-game chats. The third thing is the Week of Heart. So we have a feature now connecting the app with the players. We have a feature connecting players to players. So why not using the community that we have created in Praia Bingo and extend it and somehow make something to the external community? And we know that bingo is a social game. Bingo is the truly social casino game. So what we did was we promote some campaigns together with NGOs that were voted by our players. So they were engaged since the beginning. And the mechanics is pretty simple. So we take one item from our store, and we redirect all sales during that week to the campaign itself. The last two campaigns we have made was one was a support center for children with cancer, and the other one is this fine gentleman there with the two dogs, a shelter for abandoned dogs. Both of them are close to São Paulo, where our business is, but we have seen lots of interactions, not only from Brazilian players, but also from players elsewhere. Because, you know, it really creates a very interesting goodwill, and with players, with the app, and also internally for us as a company. Okay, so you've seen these three strategies. Let's see some numbers and how this is impacting business. In these last two campaigns, we have raised 66,000 Brazilian reals, which is very meaningful for those charities that we are helping. I mean, we could really do something and create something and helping them. Through our message systems, we are now sending about almost 200,000 messages a day, which is a very interesting proxy. Comparing to those who don't use the IM and the in-game chat, we have a 127% higher lifetime value, and also 6 times longer life cycle for those players. So we thought this is really tremendously interesting, and sometimes it's not the typical thing you expect from being a web. As an overall measure, we have 53% of our repeat daily active users that in any given week will play every day, and even sometimes playing many times a day. So they will come back not only for the bonuses, not only to play the tournaments, but they will also come back to chat with their friends, to answer texts. So what's coming next? We are integrating voice and video messaging. We are adapting our CRM and customer support to the AM tool. We will be testing with bot messaging. And we want to expand the Week of Heart campaigns to more geos. That's all. Thank you.
All right. I think we have a few minutes for some questions, if there's any questions from the audience. We have one.
Hi, I'm Kate Gorman from Zynga. I'm just wondering, when you first started as a small developer, how did you think about integrating these features, or were they initially part of your launch product?
Yeah, the in-game chat and the idea of having a chat very integrated with the game was an original idea. Also, the Week of Heart, I mean, we had it since scratch. It took us a while to actually implement it, because there are so many things to distract us from this apparently side business that we took some time. And the IM was just a conclusion we had after launching the game, after some while, that we've seen this behavior, and we're trying, okay, it makes a lot of sense, because Bingo is social, they hang out with friends, they will be using the in-game chat to meet new friends, to make new friends, and to keep those friends, they use the IM. So why not just, staying with us for all these purposes?
All right. Do we have additional questions?
You said you were translated into 25 languages. Can you just talk a little bit about how important it is to micro-localize like that?
It's essential. So it's really on our DNA, because we started for the exact same reason. I mean, we saw that there was a gap in Brazil, that the type of games that were being offered weren't really tended to the Brazilian players. So okay, let's just get this opportunity and grow over there. Then we start seeing, we went to other geographies where there is correlation with the products we were offering in Brazil. So Latin America makes a lot of sense, especially Mexico and Spain. But content-wise, nowadays we manage content totally separately. So I mean, what happens in one language happens there. I mean, even if you talk about Spanish, then you have multiple countries, multiple nationalities, you have different cultures. So you really, I mean, try to get one guy from Mexico to work with us, someone from Spain, someone from Argentina, because they will understand the players, they understand the vocabulary, they understand the culture much better than us. And this is, it's a challenge for us to escalate, but I think it really, really works in the sense of retention, because the player will have an experience that he wouldn't have otherwise, and it's really hard to replicate. It's in the same app. In case of Praia Bingo, it's just one app.
All right, I think we have time for one last question. This gentleman here.
Can you explain a bit better how active the chat moderators are in terms of and how they add value to? You said they're 24/7. Is there total reliance on that, or is there volunteer moderators as well, or how's it work?
No, they are all Pipa Studios employees, so they represent us. They're not players. Some of them have been players, but they are all employees. We have one strategy. We train them, but they have some relatively, let's say, freedom in the way they want to act. Of course, they can be friends. They can really become very, very close friends to the players. So, sometimes if they miss a good morning, if they miss a player's birthday, they will be upset about it. But what we found is that this way, you can see by the numbers. I mean, the players will react much more proactively. They will be with you for much longer, and they will end up being your, why not say, evangelists. Because we start with the chat leaders, but then if they can come to some other players that will also love the app, that will also love our vision, they will also be expanding this just in a network way to other players. So this is what we want to start with the game moderators. But they are very active in the sense that they really, really talk with the players. Sometimes, in the beginning, of course, we had a different approach. We had less players, so they could get really, really close to them. Nowadays, we have to kind of more overlook what's going on, but also promoting events, promoting quizzes. So I'd say they are very, very active.
All right, Johnatan, thanks for a great presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.